Hello, good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How about the others? Right, so we were discussing about materials and aids. Do you remember? Can you remember the topic? What were the
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
factors that we were discussing on the materials and aids? Just tell me any two aids or material that we have already finished discussing, if you don't mind. Today is the last day. Today is day 4. We have already completed the content up to day 3.
Tape recorder, television,
Good.
electronic devices,
Yeah, electronic devices, tape recorder,
computers,
television, language computers, and
language laboratory.
yes. So today we are not going to discuss any other this thing aid or device. It's going to be basically an application session where you need to apply or you need to decide what kind of aid that can be used in different situations, right? So look at this thing, selecting the same thing, effectiveness of materials and aids. So we have already discussed about several materials and aids. Now, when it comes to the classroom context, when we are involved in doing different things, it can be some skill-based ones, or maybe a vocabulary or a grammar lesson, or any kind of lesson, speaking lesson, whatever it may be. When a lesson is being done, what are the possible aids, materials? Of course, it's already predetermined. What are the teaching aids can be used? From whatever that we have learned, you have to pick and choose the most appropriate one, right? So that is why the initial subtopic is going to be selecting the appropriate aid. Before we select the appropriate aid, just try to figure out the answers for these 3 questions. Go through this. Already we have discussed this, and I'm sure you would have come out with the answers. Doesn't matter, just to refresh your memory, quickly try to come out with any possible answers. What important aspects would you consider when deciding on aid or material? Tell me 3 or 4 important aspects that we need to take into account.
Vitally important that we consider on the learner, from the learner side.
Consider what aspect of learning?
If it's a special need kid, or if it's especially, for example, if it's a special need kid, then we consider the aids that we use specifically for those kind of kids.
Right. So special need kids, they have a different kind of an approach. Thereby, we need to cater to them differently. So the learner, psychological side of the learner, and more than that, if it is a normal classroom setup, the learner level. And one more important factor. So definitely we will take the learner level into account. What else should be considered before deciding on a particular aid? Or forget about the material, let's stick to the aid. Now, when you are doing a lesson, what will be there at the end of the lesson? what are you going to achieve? In the lesson plan, what would have you written? I think that starts with O, OB, finish the rest of it. OBJ, you have to complete the rest of it. Only 3 or 4 letters remaining. We write a lesson plan. What is the most important factor, or what is the most important before writing about the procedure, or before writing the procedure and the visual aids or materials or whatever it is? At the beginning of the lesson plan, soon after mentioning the grade, the topic and all, what should
The
we write?
objective of the
Good,
lesson.
right? So the other important aspect is the lesson objective, right? So it can be one objective or you can have several objectives. Before we decide on the teaching aid, we need to check the objective. Is it possible to achieve, or is it supporting, assisting the teacher to achieve the lesson objective? So the learner level, lesson objective, quickly come on with any 2 more aspects. Quickly come up with any 2 more aspects.
The time limit, the duration of the lesson, whether we can finish the lesson on time.
Manage the time, whether it's conducive to manage the time using this particular aid. Okay, the time management, or maybe the duration of the lesson. We need to take it into account.
And appropriate materials being used.
Appropriacy. Good. Right? So the appropriacy of the material. So we consider the objective as well as the appropriacy of the material or the aid, learner level, time duration. There are several, but let's focus on any 4. Right? Go to the second question. In which stage or stages of a lesson are teaching aids heavily used? It can be used throughout, but mostly in which stage? You know the 3 stages of a lesson. What are the stages, or what is the stage where we use teaching aids mostly? What are the 3 stages? Can you please name them? In a 3P lesson, what is the initial P? 3P stand for what?
Presentation.
Presentation. Second
Prepare.
one? Not prepare.
Last is production, is it?
Last is production. In between?
Practice.
Practice. Presentation, practice, production. Right? So among these 3, in which one do we use teaching aids heavily? Comparatively?
Practice.
Practice, when you give tasks for them to practice. Tell me another stage where you use any kind of teaching aids. Practice, okay. We can use, or we usually use visual aids during the practice stage. But more than the practice stage, you have another stage where it is used very heavily. Which one is more teacher-centered? Think on those lines. Which stage is more teacher-centered?
Presentation stage.
Presentation stage, right? When we present the teaching component, when we explain or elaborate on the teaching component, if it is a vocabulary lesson, when you present the vocabulary, definitely you'll be using different teaching aids. It can be a Realia, it can be pictures or flashcards or maybe OHP, right? So practice stage is not wrong in both stages. That is why it's mentioned as stage or stages. Presentation as well as practice, in both stages, teaching aids are used. Comparatively, during the presentation stage, we can find teaching aids being used more than that of the practice stage. Last one. Mention some techniques that could be used as warmers, aids or techniques. Warmers, you know, to begin
games.
Yeah.
The games.
Game, right?
Yeah,
Word
like
game. Or maybe.
yeah, the bingo and
Okay. Any kind of games. Oral or bingo or any kind of board game. Songs. What else? How else can you start a lesson?
we have done treasure hunt.
Treasure hunt, yeah. Again, it's a kind of a game.
Yes, game.
Icebreakers where they need to introduce themselves. You make them introduce or you make them drill a particular structure. I like iced coffee. I like to drink milk. I like to drink orange juice, like that. Right? Just to make them repeat a certain structure or introduce themselves. Any other technique? Stories, right? Stories, or maybe
Videos we can use as warmer aids.
you can show a video and initiate a discussion, right? You can show a video and initiate a discussion based on the video. So it can be a discussion, a session where they discuss a particular topic, brainstorm or discuss about something. So discussions, songs, discussions based on videos, posters, it can be anything. Even just writing a question on the board would lead to a discussion. Tongue twisters, if you are focusing on teaching pronunciation, a particular sound or minimal pairs, you might as well start the lesson with a tongue twister, where you find that sound being highlighted, or maybe it can even some other sounds. But it will be relevant to the topic. Your topic is pronunciation, thereby you're starting it by making them repeat certain tongue twisters. Right. You find the answers for the first one, right? The answer is given: age, nature, frame of the lesson, the outline of the lesson, objectives, all comes under that. Skills involved, which skill is getting prioritized, and the availability of resources. List down all the visual aids and techniques that can be used in teaching learning process of a lesson. 2 are given. You have to think of some more. Quickly tell me. Now, we don't have much content related to this. Therefore, I'm planning to start the next Unit 7 Day 1 topic. So just now that we have finished materials and aids, just come out with the answers so that we can move fast. We discussed different aids under electronic and non-electronic. Recall
Yeah, flashcards, cue cards,
flashcards, cue cards, word cards,
word cards, yeah, and
yeah, different kinds of cards. Pictures is already given. What else? How do you call the real objects?
really as
Really as. One more. Any kind of electronic aids,
videos,
videos,
Tape recorder.
tape recorder, CD player,
OHP.
OHP, yeah,
Television.
television,
articles,
articles, yeah, magazine articles, posters,
brochures,
brochures,
advertisements,
advertisements, pictures, story time, all the things. And slide projector. What else? What board is now being used? Now you don't find many blackboards being used in the
whiteboard,
whiteboard, yeah. Other than whiteboard.
whiteboard, smart boards,
Smart board. Whiteboards, smart boards. Flannel boards where you fix any kind of write-ups. It can be a notice, it can be a note, whatever the write-ups that the children have written, any work, wallpaper. Mention the aids, techniques that could be used in teaching the following. Right, so different situations are given. Come out with the most appropriate, or maybe two aids or two techniques that can be used to teach this component. To teach language functions, greetings, social expressions like hello, goodbye, good morning. What can be the best aids or the best technique that can be used?
flashcards,
Okay, flashcards. You can write the expression on the flashcard and show it to them. And after showing them or after displaying it on the board or wherever it is, how will you aid the memory of the child? How will you make the child remember that particular expression?
by acting it out,
Acting it out. Good
Like-
morning, hello.
yes, with
Miming. Okay, miming, right? One more thing. Something that starts with D.
Practice dialogues.
Dialogues, yeah, practicing. If you go to practice intensely, how is it termed?
drilling,
Drilling, right? So you can make use of flashcards to introduce the expression, but soon after introducing it, if the child has to keep it in mind, if they are to remember it better. Now, these things, hello, goodbye, it's not an issue for them to remember. But when it comes to a lengthy expression, like beg your pardon, or maybe something similar to that, drilling becomes important. So the technique, for the technique, you can add drilling, right? Flashcards, drilling, or repetition, both are same. For the second one, parts of the body. Think of possible aids and how you can use them.
Miming and showing the body parts and getting them to repeat.
Okay, miming and showing. What
Pictures and
if you want to show, if you are,
pictures.
yeah, pictures. Right now, when it comes to heart, liver, with invisible parts of body, primary grade, so mostly it will be, we assume it will be something that is visible. But if at all, if we are to teach some invisible parts of the body like brain or something like that, then of course it has to be pictures. And any other possible aid? Other
Pictures, videos.
videos, yeah, videos, attractive. Smart board, right? So you can make use of the smart board and download the video, or charts, right? If there is a big chart with the parts of the body that is used for science and subjects like that. Construct. Yes, go ahead.
Songs. If it's
Songs.
grades.
Yeah. Songs. Like songs with action where they need to point out at the
Yeah.
constructing a story based on pictures, building a picture story.
Newspapers, magazines.
Okay. You will collect pictures. You can
Pictures
collect
of the newspaper, yes.
and bring it to the class. How are you going to make them build up? Now the pictures will be think of the
Using key vocabularies.
how in which form are you going to present them the key vocabulary?
The flashcard ways we can show them using a particular picture and showing the particular vocabulary so they can build up a sentence.
Right. So you can use it in the form of a flashcard, or else what is a very handy aid to display those prompts, or maybe the pictures as
The
well.
overhead projector.
OHP, right? So you can make use of the OHP either to present the pictures or maybe to present the flash, the prompts. That means the vocabulary. Any other possible aid that can be used to construct stories other than that? Mostly.
We can induce thoughts from the children by discussion, like, we call them brain tricking.
Yes, that is, if they are to construct the story on their own, you can use that technique, brain tricking. It's a very good technique for them to, you initiate them to come out with their own ideas, and from there onwards, they construct the story. Now, the question is based on pictures. So you provide the pictures randomly and get them to construct the story. Or else you can ask them, after providing the pictures, you can ask them implement that particular technique and make them to construct the story. Fourth one, spelling, to make them spell the objects correctly. Identification and spelling, both are included. How can you, what aids can be used to identify objects? What are in the office room? What are in the bedroom, kitchen?
We can show a video.
Video, pictures.
Yes.
Really,
give
if the object is small,
We can give a list of words and ask them to find the word related to the object.
find the picture. No? Oh, words and find the words means?
No, here we have to give them the spelling activity as well. Then in that case, we can't give them the list of words, madam.
Hmm.
We can show them the pictures and ask them to say what the picture is.
You can, maybe you can give them options and ask them to choose the correct option, that the best option that describes the picture. Now, if it's going to be a lampshade, you can have 3 different options: lampshade, clock, or maybe bed or something else, and ask them to underline the correct option. That is for the purpose of identification. Or just give a picture and ask them to name it. What about spelling? How can you check the spelling or make them spell the word correctly?
By asking them to fill in the blanks, like giving, yes. Is masking also the help with the OHP? Yes.
Yes, you can do masking. You can hide this thing, but it's with the OHP, how you do masking?
Ma'am, like sometimes
We can hide
Yeah.
a word by a piece of paper in the transparent sheet and then display
And
it.
ask them to identify the object.
Yes, and then we show it if it's right or wrong.
One by one, you have to show them whether they identified it correctly. Yes, you can.
Yes.
And also to check the spelling, you can have an anagram. Anagram means basically you jumble. Now, if it is the word spell, you jumble the letters, L, E, P, S, like that. You jumble the letters and give. They need to put in the correct order. Right? So either fill in the blanks or giving an anagram and asking them to write it in the correct order. Or oral spelling activities, eliciting spelling orally. Randomly, you ask a few learners and have a game. Spellman, not spellman, hangman out, right? There is a spelling game, hangman. By having spelling games, think of any other technique that can be used to improve spelling.
excuse me, ma'am, can we use the phoneme sounds like when we're introducing the spelling word correctly?
Can you please repeat? I didn't get it.
Can we use the phoneme sounds like WH for PH sound, like phone, when we are using those kind of techniques, the sound tech?
Yes. If the child is very small, with beginners, you can use phonic sounds to make them sound out the word and spell it. Phonic reading skills, you can. But better you use it along with the picture. Mostly it's done with primary, not primary, it's mostly grade 1, grade 2, those kind of learners. So it would be good if you can accompany the picture with the points. Fifth one, commands, only commands, no other language function. Just to teach commands, what is the best technique that you can employ? Commands in primary grades. Can you remember a method? We did different methods, right? The natural approach and all those things. I think we have completed that on day 1 also. Can you remember a method where commands are given and the learners are made to mime or maybe act out? What is that method called? Now, that is not an aid, by the way, but you can use it under the techniques.
Is it behavioral approach?
No.
No.
I told you with mostly in Montessori or maybe in.
TPR,
What is that? TPR stands for what?
physical response method.
Right. So you can use, that is under the technique you can use, right? So TPR technique or TPR method. You give commands or maybe you make them. You choose a leader and ask that leader to give commands and the rest of the learners to act out or maybe to mime that command. So that can be a technique. Any other aids or this thing? Videos where they see commands being given and how the kids follow those commands. Mostly miming, right? It has the predominant technique when it comes to small children learning instructions, commands, or any kind of exclamatory sentences. It's mostly miming technique or TPR. Or repetition, drilling to make them give commands, you can drill, right? That is also possible. Last one, quickly tell me. Written advertisement, preparation of written advertisement.
Use of magazines and newspapers.
Okay, use of magazines.
And also the newspapers when it
Yeah,
comes to advertising.
newspapers, pictures, hands-on activities, right? You make them create. Then making them write out an advertisement. You can show a realia. First of all, the child needs to know how it should look like when it comes to an advertisement. What are the things that need to be included based on the question, right? So how it would appear to be. So we can make use of a realia and then can make them write out or maybe a hands-on session like prepare an advertisement, making use of Bristol board or any other Demine sheet or whatever, possible. Videos, all those things can facilitate or provide them an idea about the advertisement. Quickly go through the speaking activity. Interview a friend to find out his future plans. When you are interviewing somebody, what are being used for the purpose of interview? What do we use mostly?
Fluency activity.
Fluency questions, right?
Question.
So basically, you ask questions and you get the response from them, right? So indirectly, what is being taught over here? How to construct questions. The second one is particularly aiming at WH questions. When it comes to interviews, you don't just limit yourself to WH questions. It can be any kind of question. It can be a tag question. It can be WH question, right? What is the best way to teach a speaking activity? Can be asking questions or maybe introducing someone or introducing their plans. Tell me the best visual aid, not the visual aid, teaching aid that can be used for this instance.
Audio.
Audio, right? So it can be any kind of radio program or maybe some other audio. CDs. Second one, grammar, to teach grammar, constructing WH questions. How are we going to do that? So you have to tell first the WH word should come. After that, it should be the verb. Like that, you have to tell them the structure of the WH question. How can that be done?
By showing them dialogues or giving printed dialogues.
Yes, role plays, dialogues, right? By giving them any kind of material. First of all, providing them, it can be any kind of script, drama script, or maybe role play, dialogues, and asking them to identify the WH questions. Always remember the initial level is the identification level. First of all, the child should be able to identify the concept. So that can be one teaching aid, that particular material type. It can be a short story, it can be any kind of thing. It can be just a newspaper article where you find there should be WH questions for them to identify. After the identification, what are the other probable aids that can be used? Now they are able to identify the structure. How are we going to elaborate on it?
Giving them enough practices, like jumble sentences.
So jumble sentences, you can give word cards, right? Sentences cut into sentence strips, cut into words, and ask them to construct a WH question to put them in the correct order. Now already they have identified it. So word cards can be used. Any other probable?
We can give them answers and ask them to form the question.
Yeah, that can be done at a later stage. You can give them maybe using a OHP transparency, or maybe just a task sheet. You give them the answers and underline the keywords or the key phrases. I came home.
We can also give question sentences in small letters, madam, without capitalizing and without punctuations, and ask them to find what is missing, or in the sense, or rewrite it as a question.
You mean jumble sentences, jumble statements?
No, madam. For example, we for the smaller children, after giving the proper lesson on introduction, we can put the question like, "What is your name?" All in simple letters. There's no question marks or anything, no punctuations, and ask them to rewrite it as a proper question.
So already you have given it in the correct order, so they don't have anything, only except for the capitalization and
Capitalization and the
question
question
mark.
punctuation. So that can be done at a very early stage until they
Yes.
get the hang
Soon
of the.
after identification, you can do that. Ask them to. That is highlighting mostly on punctuation using the question mark and capitals.
By showing a picture, can we construct the questions and teach the children like where, what, when?
Where are they playing?
Yes.
So how are you going to, now you are showing a picture where the students are playing at a park.
Yes.
You expect them to come out with the question, where are they playing? So how are we going to ask them? Construct a question, they will come out with different answers. How many are playing? That is also accepted. So it's a WH question. So you have to give them the WH words then, the probable words connected to the picture, and ask them to give. So pictures, word cards, or sentence strips. What else did we discuss? Only those, no? Other than
Role plays and dialogue.
role plays, different material types, OHP, right? To show the picture, or maybe even videos. Third one, describing a process, highlighting on teaching the sequence markers, using the sequence markers, how they need to describe a process. The teaching component is first, next.
We can, yes, we can give them a map of, doing a process of a map, and then asking them to, and to improve their, first to improve their vocabulary and speaking. We can get them to speak on the process. What is the first step? What is the second step? Likewise. And also give them selection of words to choose from it, and to fill in the blanks in the process.
Right, selection of words, then you have to provide the sequence markers, thereafter, next, then, finally, first, second, like that. You have to provide them the sequence markers and ask them. Now, if you give the process of making fruit salad along with the pictures, you also have to give the sequence markers and ask them which marker is going to get associated with which picture. Or maybe you give them the sentence, wash the fruits. Then cut them into small pieces. Then you have to tell them to place the sequence markers accordingly, according to the steps or the order of the process. Think of any other possible way. Pictures or word strips, sentence strips.
Give them a plan, for example, plan in a park or something, and then give them locations of, like, for example, the marker, the school. You know, in IELTS test paper, there it is. And then play an audio with the sequence markers and ask them to complete the task. But that will happen at a grade 6 or 7 level.
Now, for example, where are they visiting first, or which is the location where the person is
We can
initially?
say that Peter wants to go to the market. First, he crosses the road, then he turns to his right and take a by road or something like that. And he passed the pond. Then he turns to his right.
So they have
Likewise,
to listen and fill the.
fill the and the pictures will be marked as A, B, C, D, and the locations will be given below. So they have to rearrange it as
Using the sequence markers.
it's sequence markers. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that will be a little bit advanced.
That can be practiced with advanced learners or maybe adults as well, no? Not with the primary ones. Even with intermediate, grade 9.
Madam, normally in schools, what they do for sequence markers, they will do they will ask children to bring some things to make, like fruit salad or something, and they do it in the class.
Yeah.
With the teacher giving the instructions and them individually
How
doing
do you
each
call that
step.
kind of an activity where you make them to perform production? No.
It's practice and production both, no, madam?
Task-based activity.
A class-based activity, it's something similar to that of a practical, right? So it's basically a practical thing that they are getting involved in. Making, if their lesson is on fruit salad, they are made to make a fruit salad. So it's a kind of a practical task. You can also call it a simulation activity. You do it in the class, practice it in the class. Practicals or simulation, both are connected very closely. You create a situation in the class and make them learn out of it. It can be the vocabulary, it can be the grammar, anything that is related to that situation is learned by making the child involved in it. Any kind of simulation activity, pictures, or maybe listening, CDs. Adverbs, quietly, carefully, slowly. Can you remember? I think it's with you, no? We did an adverb game. Is it with you? Under the bingo, adverb game, then street. Can't remember the name also. Street scene. Kim's game and all. Didn't we do those things?
Yes, ma'am, adverb game.
Right? So
We did, in the sense we didn't do games, madam. We learned these
activities. It's
Yeah.
not a game,
Yes.
yeah. to teach adjectives, those feely bags. Can you remember feely bags? You
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, last week we learned that.
So likewise, now when it comes to quietly, is it possible to mime these? Just look at the adverbs that are given over here. Quietly, I think you can mime. Carefully, slowly, no? When indicating a movement by walking slowly, or maybe by, you should be a good actor to mime out carefully. Making use of games. What are the other possible ways? Situations.
Miming.
Yeah,
Miming.
miming. Miming.
Fill in the
Just,
blanks in sentences.
Yes, fill in the
You give
blanks. You can give
sentences and
for
you give
production.
the adjective and ask them to make it an adverb.
Convert it to adverb. So they will just put ly. Now, how are we going to present it? The aids become a part of it in the mostly in the presentation stage. So when it comes to presenting these kind of adverbs, adverbs of manner, which aid or which technique can be used during the presentation stage, or maybe during the practice stage to practice it?
We can use flashcards, we can write the adverbs, and we can give to one student and he will act, and the other students should guess it.
Guess it, yeah. Reading comprehension. Fifth one. The topic is water, our lifeblood. That is the topic. Now we are going to teach something related to water, the importance of water. Lifeblood means water is very essential for all living beings. In this topic, we are to handle a reading comprehension. How can we introduce this title or this concept? Or maybe while teaching, if there are any words to be taught. Reading means you can either teach some sub-reading skills, like extracting specific information from the text, or maybe looking for the main idea of the text, or going in for context, vocabulary, any word that they don't know without referring for the dictionary to refer to the meaning. By looking at the context, they tend to understand the meaning of the word. Textual guessing is a sub-reading skill. So
You can
since
prompt, you can put the title on the board and ask children, like in the
Yes.
sense, like you prompt the children to tell something about what they know looking at the title. So they will come up with different kind.
Right, so leading a discussion, right? So they can be leading a discussion or maybe a brainstorming session. You give some prompts, importance of water, and lead a discussion based on those subtopics, maybe for cooking or for drinking purpose. Have discussions or brainstorming sessions to teach or maybe to elicit their understanding related to the topic. Then if you are to go to, if you are to teach several words, vocabulary, tell me some techniques that you can use to introduce new words. Scarcity. Yes. What is that you told?
I said crosswords.
Crosswords, giving the clues and asking them to guess the word. Crosswords, yeah. videos or pictures.
you can
It's
you can give the word, for example, scarcity, and you tell you can introduce that meaning in different sentences on the board so that the learners will get the
examples.
through examples.
We can use the OHP also and show some pictures and
Ask them which one is
ask.
which.
Yes.
So you have to select the objects, or maybe the pictures should be very promptly selected.
Yes.
Otherwise, you won't be able to. So pictures or maybe OHP or videos, when it comes to teaching vocabulary, multiple techniques can be adapted. Even situations. Now, during certain time periods of the year, some things or some provisions become scarce. Like it can be eggs or it can be some other thing, right? So, but we should make it certain that the examples are very promptly selected. Otherwise, it will mislead the child. Directions. Yes.
And one more thing, Miss. Now when our children have a lesson, the teacher asks them to do a search and come so that they can all discuss when they come to the class. Is that those ideas could be used as aids? Is it? If each
Yeah,
child can
it
contribute.
is more or less of a
Discussion.
follow-up work, like, no? When you now, if you want to teach it today, if you are planning to teach something today, we need
Yes.
to be ready with a technique or any kind of aid. What you tell can be applied as a follow-up work. Maybe you can say, you better find out anything that is scarce during this period of time. It can be water or it can be something else. You can give it as a follow-up work, but not use it as a technique or aid at the beginning of the lesson.
Okay. Okay.
Right. What about the sixth one? To teach directions, related prepositions, locations. What is the best one? Best aid?
Use of a compass,
Computer.
display a compass on the board.
Compass. Okay. North, south. Yeah, you can make use of a compass and teach them the directions. Compass always points at the north. Then from there onwards, you can extend it to the south and making use of a compass, a real object, really.
Maps.
If you don't have access to a compass, what is the other possible aid?
Dialogues.
Dialogues. More than dialogues, think of something else. You can make use of a dialogue, but more than that of a dialogue.
With pictures,
And we can
pictures,
route maps.
fill in the blanks with pictures,
Map.
with
Right.
location.
What kind of pictures?
Now, like the cat is sitting on the chair, likewise.
Right. Cat
Yeah,
is sitting
Audios, listening comprehensions, audio.
audios, right? Audios you can use. Directions and prepositions related together. Pictures are correct, but be specific. We looked at it. And I told you, when you're teaching prepositions and directions, these kind of pictures can be used. M for monkey. Fill the rest of it.
Maps.
Map. Good. Right. So we can make use of maps. Different kinds of maps. Map of a city, map of a school, or maybe a park, where you mark the directions as well as the prepositions. Formal, informal letter writing. First of all, the structure itself should be distinguished. They should know the distinction between the structure of a formal letter and an informal letter. How can we highlight that? Think of the aid.
First, teach them a sample of from both and give them
How are
the
you going to show the sample? Tell me a way out to show the sample.
First, you have to have a question.
Picture.
A picture card, maybe a principal's picture.
Really, yeah.
A real, yeah.
Really, yeah. Real formal
But
letter.
these kind of questions are learners who are advanced, no, madam, is it?
Yes, yes. It's definitely for maybe with even in intermediate ones, grade 9, 10, you have formal letters. They are made to write formal letters. Right? So the structure, the format is really important. They should know where to write the title and where to place the sender's, write the sender's address, receiver's address, and all those things. So
We can use the OHP.
OHP, Realia, or maybe video, of course, it's not useful. OHP, mostly OHP or posters, a big
And-
poster or a
And
chart.
we can also give some sample letters asking them to identify whether it's formal or informal.
Yes, identify the letter itself and also to label the different parts of a formal letter. Now, if we are teaching formal letter, salutation, complimentary clause, introduction, title, like that, the different parts of formal letter. So you can give it in word cards or strips and ask them to identify the exact part. And then the body, how are we going to make them construct? Think of a way out to construct a formal letter, just to make them, give them an idea about how to construct it.
In a kind of very friendly manner, we'll be starting. When it comes to informal, it will be very kind of friendly manner. So it's very easier to teach the kids saying that write a letter to our friends, saying hi, how are you, how are you doing, for informal letters.
So you can explain it, indicating the mannerism that is involved in both formal
Logical
and
connections between sentences should be taught in when forming a body of a letter, because every sentence should connect to the next one, because you're
cohesion.
putting
Yeah,
out.
there should be some kind of a connection, cohesion, coherence, cohesion, everything should be there. But what I'm asking is, now they are not going to initially write out themselves. You can't expect the learner to write, unless he's a very brilliant one, then of course they can do it by themselves. But at the
You
beginning,
write together with the child or the learners. Teacher writes on the board. You talk with the children as in the form of a dialogue or a discussion, as a way of brainstorming, and get get the vocabulary from the learners themselves and form the sentence on the board.
Right. So vocabulary prompts should be given. Right. So
Yeah, also, ma'am, like we can give sentences, set of sentences that's related that we usually write for formal, and set of sentences that we use for informal. So they can use it while they are writing it. That's more
yeah,
convenient.
mostly when it comes to formal letters, the language that is being used and the structure matters. For informal, it's not going to make much difference. But when it comes to the formal letter, how the letter is started and the word choice, everything should be provided, right? So the discussions, and also discussion can be a very good technique, brainstorming discussion, and also providing prompts. Prompts can be given in different forms. It can be by utilizing the OH, maybe word cards or sentence strips, any kind of, any possible, it can be utilized to give the prompt. Last one, oral activity, delivering a speech or making an announcement. Before they deliver a speech, they should know something, something to do with the body language, the posture, the facial expression. Pitching of the voice, voice modulation, tone, how those things be taught. Or while making an announcement, how to announce.
We can show a video
Video,
regarding
definitely.
a video will be
Any
useful.
video or audio, mostly it will be a video. A video will be better than that of an audio, so they can listen and watch at the same time. Now look at this. Imagine you have to teach a poem to a set of intermediate students, basically 8, 9, 10, right? Grade 8. What are the possible teaching components? Now, when you poem is given, it will be there in the next slide. What are the possible teaching components that could be taught by looking at the poem? After reading the poem intently, you have to identify the teaching component. Now see, it's a reading lesson. You're going to teach a poem, means basically a reading comprehension lesson. It's not a passage. Instead of a reading passage, a poem is given. Lesson objective. Think of a probable lesson objective, right? So teaching component, identify that first, and then a lesson objective. After that, teaching aids, any kind of teaching, learning aids and techniques, right? So 3 things. Now, when you look at the poem, remember to identify the teaching components, objectives. Not identifying the objectives, you have to frame a lesson objective and also think of the teaching aids. So keep in mind all these 3. Otherwise, you will not be able to, soon after you read the poem, you will forget what to do. Right? So just note it down somewhere. What you need to look for in the poem. First, let's look at the poem and then you can go back to it. Read the poem first. what can be the teaching component? Now, according to this question, they have given some questions, and it's basically a reading comprehension. Other than, so you can make use of this and teach, do a reading comprehension session or a lesson based on this question. Other than that, if nothing is given and only the poem, plainly the poem is given, what can be your teaching component based on it?
We can show them when it comes to poem, it's stanzas versus paragraphs. We can show the differences at the first,
Good.
at the very beginning.
Stanzas, you can talk about the number of lines that are involved in each stanza. And what else? If it is something to do with the literature side or a literature lesson, you can talk about the stanzas as well as think of some
Rhyming words.
rhyming words,
Imagery, visual imagery.
visual
Emotion.
imagery,
Comparisons.
comparisons. Do you find any comparisons over here? See,
Figurative languages, we can teach them when it comes to poem.
yes,
Rhyme scheme.
figurative, rhyming scheme, simile, metaphor. Do you have any similes or any metaphors? So if you are to teach them, that should be in the poem, right? So you can't just bring something from outside and teach. It should be embedded in the poem. Then it will be more meaningful. Right. Now, in this case, it's going to be a reading comprehension. Basically, is it what are the skills that are getting sub skills of reading that are getting practiced over here? Go through these questions and tell me. Is it skimming or scanning or contextual guessing or trying to guess the intention of the writer? Those kind of things.
The intention of the writer?
Which question indicates that?
Third one, who do you think
Who do
liked
you
the
think?
very much? No.
Sea very much as suggested by the poet. Who do you think liked the sea very much?
Talk about
Is
the
it-
children. He wants to talk about the children mostly.
yeah. The initial line itself, love, little children love you well. So it's small children.
As he compared the children with the sea, because children also don't stop doing things. They're never tired. So in the second
Stanza.
since I said
Dashing, restless sea,
never still, you see,
you
Seem-
seem to be.
sometimes, yeah, that and
Yeah, it's more of a not direct meaning, but implied meaning. No, when it
Yes.
comes to adults, you can relate it. It's more of implication.
And in the third stanza, he compares tiny vessels to babies, like, just implied meaning actually. Tiny vessels, as if a mother rocks the baby, the sea is rocking tiny
The
vessels.
vessel. Mm.
Is he talking about the emotions?
He
mostly
also
writer?
Emotions. The emotional side is also addressed, right? Sad, angry,
Laughter, angry,
laughter.
love.
And he
Human-
also talks about, he also wants the learners to find nouns, adjectives, verbs, pronouns, and conjunctions, the grammar parts
Yeah,
also.
the last question, something to do with grammar. Now, gently is an adverb. Have they asked for adverbs?
Adjectives and verbs only.
Adjective. So what can be now based on this context? That means including the questions, the poem and the questions, both are given, right? So now considering that, think of the teaching component. What can be the teaching component? One teaching component or maybe two teaching components.
Reading comprehension.
One can be reading comprehension. Think of another possible teaching component that can be highlighted.
How to identify a piece of literature such as
Literalizers.
yes,
Identification of literary devices like rhyme scheme or maybe rhythm is also there when you read the poem.
The themes in the poem.
What can be the theme? Theme? What is he trying to tell about the sea? The different moods of the sea.
sea is a playmate compared to a playmate.
Sea is a playmate and more than that of the play.
The change in
Is
behavior of human beings.
Sea is
the
personal.
behavior. Yeah, it's
Change in
personalized.
behavioral
Life
pattern of
personalized.
human beings.
Yeah, the different behavioral patterns, just like the behavioral patterns of a human being, he is transferring it to the sea, right? So the sea is personalized and given the behavioral, or it's attributed. The behavioral patterns, you can't say the behavioral, the movements of the sea is attributed towards the behavioral patterns of a human being. He's talking about the different movements or maybe the ebbing and here flowing, ebbing, different movements of the sea. Right, so literary devices, reading comprehension, vocabulary, grammar, right? So you can teach several teaching components. You need to decide based on the learner level and based on the requirement. We have to decide which teaching component we are going to prioritize. And if it is going to be a literature lesson, then accordingly we have to decide on the component. Lesson objective, just state a lesson objective at the end of the lesson. Students will be able to do what? Frame out an objective. For example, able to talk about the format of a poem. They will be able to identify the couplets or stanzas, rhyming scheme. So it can be one objective. Will be able to talk about the format of a poem. Likewise, you think of another possible lesson objective.
Identification of grammar structures.
Word classes. Identify the basic word classes of English. It can be adjectives, adverbs, nouns, pronouns. Identify the basic word classes found in the poem.
And also literary techniques. That means they can understand the hidden themes. Yeah.
Implicit meaning. will be able to speak about or write the implicit meaning of the poem. Now, though it seems to be superficially, it seems to be a very simple poem. When we analyze it, it can have several layers of implicit meaning. With adults, you can discuss them. So they will be able to identify the implicit meaning of the poem. C can be at times destructive, it can be at times productive, it can be entertaining, right? So different moods of the C is discussed. Any other objective? Think of one more objective.
Their ability to answer questions by themselves, like forming sentences.
What is the skill that is focused
Writing
there?
skill, improve writing skills by through answers, their own answers.
Improve writing skill, mostly when it comes to a poem. This is the general notion. When it comes to a poem or any other reading text, a text which is focusing predominantly on practicing the reading skill or the sub-reading skill, you don't expect the learners to give full answers. That means complete answers are not required. That is the general practice that we have to abide by. So you can't make them, or you don't need to coax them to come out with a full extended form of an answer. It's meant for them to read and comprehend the information. Therefore, more than having this objective, writing objective, you go in for a vocabulary one. So you can teach words, that's possible. Not only for a poem, spelling you can. Spelling, words, meaning, all those you can. Not only for poem, even when it is done with a advertisement or notice, any reading kind of a input, don't try to connect it to the writing objective. Usually it's not practiced like that. Spellings you can. Okay, spellings or words you can teach. So there are some words. For a grade 8 student, try to figure out the words that might be difficult for a grade 8 student. Ebb. Do you think they will understand it? Or they'll be able to?
Ebb and wondrous.
Ebb and wondrous.
Mighty. Sometimes.
Mighty. Sometimes they know that is.
No. Sometimes I mean, like, no, I didn't mean that word, madam.
Glad. Playmate, stretching. Yeah, this ornamental words are also there. When you talk about the literary techniques, slashing, dashing, there's a spelling mistake. Slashing, dashing, ornamental words. Right, so you can have a vocabulary related objective. reading plus vocabulary. Aids, tell me quickly, mention any aids or techniques. How are you going to introduce this poem? Now you are not going to show the poem at once and ask them to read the poem and explain it. How? What can be the initial background, the build-up for the poem? How can that be created?
We can build up the background, that means the content of the poem. If we are talking about sea, we can talk about the sea, I mean the human behavior.
Yeah, you mean to say how people behave and connect it to the sea?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk about the
Dialogue,
content of the
discussion,
poem.
brainstorming session with children about the sea and what they feel about
Their
the sea.
experience in the sea. Okay. Have they visited a sea beach, gone to a sea beach? What have they seen over there? Hmm. Discussion. Then basically, you can lead a discussion. Half of them will be engaged in it. Some lazy ones will be just passive. Think of along with the discussion to draw the attention. What else can be done?
We can show them pictures using OHP.
OHP, or maybe
We can
the
show a video clip.
yeah, you can show a video clip of a seaside, or maybe a beach, or any other a very interesting picture related to a sea. Right? So video clips, OHP, or just a picture itself. So that can be showing the picture or maybe leading a discussion, personalizing, right? Teacher telling her personal experience at a seaside, or maybe asking another student to come out with their personal experience, if at all, if they have visited a beach. What other warmers can be done? Think of a suitable warmer. If you know any songs related to sea, then of course you can make use of them, make them to sing that song, or identify certain visuals, visual imageries, or some pictures that flash on their mind when they sing that. Like that, you can make it. This one we have discussed. What techniques can you adopt to teach them the words? Presenting vocabulary like really are pictures, flashcards, right? Like that, you have to mention. Tell me some techniques now if you are going to teach the word. What is the word that you said? Tide, not tide, some other word. Glad. Okay, glad. What technique can be used to present the word glad or ebb?
We can use synonyms like the similar words so that
Yeah,
the easier synonyms that they know.
yeah. Unhappy, opposite of unhappy, happy. Happy and glad are same, right? So synonyms, antonyms. Ebb, ebb also, yeah, you can use synonym, antonym. Or else visual, make use of visual. Wondrous. How will you present this word? Think of a way out to present this word.
Wonders as as wonderful, isn't it? So we can use any
Something
synonym.
marvelous.
Synonyms.
Yeah, wondrous, wonderful. It's more or less the same meaning.
Yes.
Then once again, synonyms, right? So more. What does the writer intend to teach through the poem? We discussed about it.
Madam, can you please go back to the previous slide?
This one.
No, there was some questions, madam, just now you showed.
This one.
Yeah, please hold on, madam.
Done?
Yes, madam.
Right. What sub-skills can be taught using this passage? It's not connected to the C. That's done. Now this is something else, right? Sub-skills, reading sub-skills. Mention any 5 vocabulary items, words you have to guess. Give 4 concept, CCQ questions or signpost questions that could be used. Now this is the passage. Read it quickly. Go through the passage first. What sub-skills can be taught you in this passage? Mention the sub-skill. Reading sub-skill.
While reading the passage and understanding the vital informations.
Yes. How do you call that?
Yeah, and they can use some kind of like a pencil while they're reading the passage. They can keep underlining so that they can go back to questions and understand what are the vital information. They can write the answers. So that
Yes.
can be done.
How do you tell me the technical term for that particular
Intense reading.
Actively reading.
Intense reading or specific reading for specific information, right? You can say intensive reading or reading for specific information. Something else? Any other possible sub-reading skills other than reading for specifics? Look at the B part questions. What are they focusing on? Period of 10 years, lifestyle of a certain community. What are they focusing on?
They have to find synonyms. Learners have to find
Synonyms.
synonyms.
So basically contextual guessing. Now the period of 10 years, it's not directly mentioned, but they have to read between the lines and find the meaning. Contextual guessing, right? So you can practice contextual guessing, or maybe reading for the specifics, passive reading, or else even extensive reading, just to get the main idea. What is the main idea of this passage, the entire passage? If you want to just tell it in one sentence, how can you put it? The main idea or the predominant topic that is getting discussed.
About the
The
rise.
importance of rice.
Rise. Okay.
Rise. Rise connected to what? It's about rise, no doubt, but if you want to
Livelihood of
extend it,
people.
rice as a staple food of people, or the importance of rice in life, the life of different communities. Right, so we can either teach them guessing, going in for the specifics or the gist of the passage, or maybe contextual guessing.
Skimming.
Skimming is getting the gist of the passage. No, not this. Give four concept. Give any 5 vocabulary items. Think of any 4 concept checking questions as well when you look at the poem. This one. First, try to look for the vocabulary, any words that need to be taught. Same grade, grade 8.
Myth.
What is that? Myth. Myth.
Chinese myth tells how.
Okay, here.
Variety. Nutritious. There are a lot of bigger words.
Nutritious. Yeah, in the second line itself, you have nutritious, variety,
And
ceremonies,
there is the word associated with. So
folklore,
Decades. The
decade.
third paragraph, second line.
starving.
Starving. Do you have the word starving?
Yes, starving is there.
Yeah, people were starving.
Population, production.
Population, production,
Devoted, cultivation.
Many words are there. So you have to,
International research.
but
Increased, that's a term. And the percentage, increased, at least, percentage.
yes, but when you, now there are several words, more than 8 words can be found. But in this case, if there are a whole lot of words, many words are there, try to pick and choose the words that will really obstruct the comprehension of the learner. If they don't know the meaning of that word, if it is going to obstruct the comprehension of the learner, you go in for that particular word, pre-teach that word. So thereby nutritious, I think if they don't understand the word, the meaning of the word nutritious, it will be obstructing the total comprehension of the learners, right? So you can teach that word. Likewise, focus on any word that would obstruct or stop the comprehension, the total comprehension of the learners, and choose
Culture decades. We have to specifically
culture, yeah,
decades.
decades. Here also you have a period of 10 years. So if you pre-teach it, it will be easy for them to find the similar word as well. So always remember when there are many words to leave the words according to the important. That is, if at all, if they are limiting the comprehension, then they need to be taught. Otherwise, don't bother to teach each and every word. Think of signpost questions or CCQs, concept checking questions soon after reading this passage. What can be 3 simple questions that you can ask, concept checking, to check whether they have comprehended the topic? General questions, you go to ask specifics, just general questions, more or less targeting on the entire passage.
We can ask what is this topic, the passage is about, and what are the countries that have been mentioned. Just randomly asking what are the countries being mentioned in this passage. So,
What are the countries? China,
Burma,
Burma, and China, no?
yeah.
Don't have any other countries.
Madam, I have a question. When you say signpost questions, what do you mean?
Signpost question means we are checking, it indicates, it signals whether the child has comprehended the passage as a whole. Has he understood the topic of the passage, not the specifics, not the cultures that are mentioned, or not the incidents that are narrated. We are not going to focus on those things at the beginning. Now, soon after the first reading is done, signpost questions or concept checking questions, both are same, are asked. So it should not discourage the child. We are checking basically whether he has understood the basic concept of the paragraph. It can be the poem or paragraph or whatever it is. At a later period, after they read the passage for themselves, we go for the specific questions. You may ask now, where did the Chinese people find the, what is that tied to the bunch of rice or bunch of paddy? What is that? Yeah, into a dog's tail, this one. Hanging on bunches of long yellow seeds, paddy. Where did they find the paddy seeds hanging? Like that, you can ask for the specifics after the learners read the paragraph themselves, not at the beginning. CCQs are asked soon after the first reading. That is, first reading is initially done by the teacher. So teacher reads for the first time and checks the learner's understanding, whether they have followed what she has read. Are they able to identify the concept? That is the meaning of concept checking. Either mostly three questions or 4 questions are asked as CCQs. This is not this thing. This is just a writing task, right? Write an essay on one of the following topics. Good health is the greatest wealth include. So you can, in order to present this topic, think of a technique. You can, for example, you can use a mind map, right? Good health means it can be related to the physical development or maybe the mental development or emotional, spiritual development. All those things are a part of a person's good health, right? So what is meant by good health? In other words, we are providing some guidelines for the learner to build up or to construct the entire essay. So one can be the mind maps. Think of any other possible topic, not topic, aid. For leisure, you can, it's a good topic, importance of doing a leisure activity.
Pictures.
Pictures showing the benefits of leisure. Vocabulary in the form of word cards, right? So you can provide them with the pictures and prompts. Videos, right? So video clips, posters, all kind of aids can be used. Now, this is a writing activity. So to make them construct a paragraph or an essay, you can make use of it. Look at your self-study task. Just like what we did for the paragraph rise, right? So somewhat similar now. Then it's not about the same topic, it's a different topic. For grade 3, right? So remember the grade. The learner level matters a lot. Thereby, try to answer the question based on the learner level. Prepare a set of signpost questions, CCQs, that could be used in teaching comprehension. This is a comprehension lesson. So you don't have to write the objectives and things. Just think of 3 or 4 CCQs that you will ask the learners soon after the passage is read for the first time by the teacher. Task sheet that you would use in teaching a particular reading skill, sub-reading skill, or vocabulary. You can either use this passage to teach words. You can choose any 4 words and try to teach them. So you can teach the meaning of the word, or you can teach them how to pronounce that word or spell that word. When it comes to teaching words, definitely the meaning should be taught, spelling should be taught, and the pronunciation. Those 3 are very important. And the usage as well, the 4th one. Right, so you can teach any of these aspects. Limit yourself to 1 or 2. Don't go to teach all 4 at one go. So you can either convert this passage or make use of this passage to teach vocabulary, or else any sub-reading skill. It's your choice. So if you want to teach a sub-reading skill, what task? Just write one task that you do. What is the sub-reading skill you are going to teach? Mention. Put sub-reading skill and mention it. Contextual guessing or identifying intention of the writer, like that. Specifics, checking for specific information, like that. Write the sub-reading skill first, and under that, give the task, create a task. It can be a fill in the blanks. It can be WH, a set of WH questions, any kind of task. Matching, whatever it is, you just give. Mention sub-reading skill and write out the task. Similarly, vocabulary means what are the words you are going to teach them. For a grade 3 child, think of the possible words. Limit yourselves to 4 or 5 words. Don't take a whole lot of words. Highlight those words. Write down those words. And prepare a task sheet. If you are going to teach meaning, how are you going to teach meaning? It can be through giving a matching exercise or maybe underlining or filling the blanks. Make use of any technique and prepare the task sheet. Right, so this is your this thing. Self-study task. First one is this, reading comprehension. Second one is teaching adjectives. The same question. What are the possible teaching components that could be taught? Constructing adjectives using suffixes, right? It's focusing on adjectives, but a particular kind of adjectives. You make adjectives using a noun. You turn a noun into an adjective by suffixation. And write the techniques that you can adapt and teach them. That's it. If you have anything to clarify, just ask me.
Madam, I missed the first slides of the class. Can you please share them with me?
The initial ones.
I was able to take only after what important aspects would you consider when deciding on an aid material? So
It's
Ma'am,
that's
I need from the first slide also. Yeah, from this, one second.
afterwards, madam.
This is the second.
Please hold on, madam. Next, madam. Next, what? No, madam. Previous one.
Previous one is the questions, only the questions. Then you have
Aspects considered. Okay.
answers. Do you have the rest of the slides?
Yes, madam.
Ma'am, can I have the last, the questions that you gave for the last adjectives?
One, self-study task.
Yes, yes, self-study. Not this, the next one.
Adjectives.
Yes, adjectives. Were there questions for this? What was the question for this? Yes,
Two questions.
this, yes, one second. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Can I share the handout with you?
Yes, madam.
Have you received it?
Not yet, madam. Yes.
Right, so with that, we conclude materials and aids. Finish all 4 self-study tasks and complete it. Tomorrow we will be starting with the unit 7. Right now here in the self-study, not the self-study task, in this handout, it's mentioned as unit 11. Don't worry about that. It belongs to unit 6. You complete the work.
Excuse me,
is-
ma'am.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. For the email address you are sending the handouts, ma'am.
No, it's being shared in this chat box.
Ah, okay, ma'am. Okay. Fine, ma'am. Okay.
You
All right.
won't be sent the you won't be receiving the handout to the email address. You better download it now and
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Okay, ma'am. Fine.
right.
Thank you, ma'am.
So finish it. Finish the self-study task. Tomorrow we will be starting with unit 7. Right, tomorrow evening. Okay then. Take care. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.